Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today I'm going to saw my first log on the new Woodland Mills HM130 Max. I'll take just a couple minutes to go over things that needed tweaked after my setup video from yesterday. First, I put the log scale on backward. That's just, I was facing the mill the wrong way, so we flipped that around. There's two little latches that hold this closed, and my handle needed turned. And that's because I've actually mounted the mill too high, I think. I went and looked at one that was 30 inches high, decided to set mine at 32, thinking that would be a good comfortable working height. I actually think probably 28 to 30 after looking at it at this height. There's going to be a couple things that are awkward about using it this way. But one thing we've already had to change is the push handle. This handle in the instructions is mounted up this way, and your throttle lever would be up here the way I've got it. Luckily, they've got slots that go almost all the way around. I was able to flip this, and it's going to be comfortable right here. Something else I wanted to mention is I'm going to spray Rust Patrol all over everything that moves on this, because I've been doing a prolonged test on this Rust Patrol versus WD-40, and I think this is a really good product. And this was really stiff. The spring wasn't strong enough to bring my throttle lever back, even after I had loosened it up. Sprayed a little of this on, it's working great. So I'm going to put it on all these pulleys and anything else that looks like it needs it. The next thing the instructions say to do after you get this set in place is slide the mill down the track. And I could feel just a little catch right here as that wheel was contacting the bracket that holds this log clamp. So as we go down, we're looking for anything that causes resistance in the mill sliding. And we're taking these loose and just using the slop in the bolts right there to make more clearance. I had several people warn me about putting vice grips on this so that the mill head couldn't slide off the end. And I still think you want to do that. You want to clamp it in some way because you don't want it sliding back and forth and hitting these stops. But it has log stops on both ends, so it's actually not going to roll off. Now we're adjusting this so it hits both stops at the same time. So now we've got the mill head sliding smoothly down the track. We're going to adjust the mill head. We're going to level it to the deck. And right here, we're exactly 3.5 inches. And here, we're about the thickness of the blade higher on this side. So we just need to adjust the cable down tiny bit on this side, and I'm making sure that the blade guides are not putting any pressure on this, getting that difference. So we need to lower that cable on that side just a couple turns. Leveling the mill head was a little bit difficult because gravity wasn't pulling it down the rails very well, because these bushings right here, this nylon, is tight on the rail, making it not slide very well. So the next step is to loosen these up, and you take these nuts loose and then kind of just squeeze it in until they're touching and tighten them back down. At the same time, I'm spraying a little bit of Rust Patrol all the way around to help this slide easier. So I think we'll definitely want to check level on the mill head after this. So I got my dad here with me. We spent the last hour or two going through everything, and really, I mean, everything was really close just from the factory. Blade tracking was good. The blade guides needed to be adjusted, but that's to be expected. But everything's been pretty close from the factory. I think we're about ready to put gas in it. The one thing that confused us a little bit at first was the tensioning on it. It says recommended blade tension 2.5 to 3 full turns from snug. And just deciding when snug is, I guess, was a little bit of a... So it engages... It touches there, but where is snug? So I'm going to say about there. So half, 1, half, 2, and a half. And when I've been to other people who had these mills, it seemed that like it was close to flush, but not quite. So we're going to go with that for now and see how it does. This is an example of why this is too high. I can fill it from the ground, but I can't see if it's full. I'm going to stand up there to fill it. Might get I might get a pump or something to fill the gas on it. Or I might lower the mill, I don't know yet. Manual says run it for 30 minutes before using any lube. So we're not even going to mess with the lube system yet. It's going to start it and let it warm up, let it run for a little while. Make sure our idle is set right. Then we'll go pick out a log. Choke on, fuel on. Choke off.
Too soon.
We're at idle too. We normally have to. Woo, doggy. Woo-ha. That ain't going nowhere. This is probably an odd choice for a first log. And I actually had it in my head. I was gonna start with something that was really small and easy to manage. But I don't have a whole lot of logs piled up. I've been selling them to Paul when I get them. So that needs to change. But this log is about half rotted on the bottom. And I don't care if we mess it up. So this will be just a good one to practice on. Plus it's got no bark. It's not gonna wear out my blades. Hopefully it's good enough to use at all, but you can see this is just split everywhere. I think this had been laying on the ground for years before I even went and got it. And then I've left it sitting over there for 2 years. So let's cut her up. As far as the height of cut, I put the small end at this end. So if we remove anything from here, we're gonna remove quite a bit from the other end. I was talking to Nathan from Out of the Woods yesterday, and he told me to save my first cut off of this as a keepsake, souvenir. My dad and I both said that this might just be a junk log, but that first cut, the wood inside, that's solid. We may get something good out of this. You want to make the second cut? we decided we're going to go ahead and see if we can make dimensional lumber out of this. So, pretty heavy, but we're going to try rolling it with the cant hook. I'm a little bit bummed out. We rolled this bad boy up to 90 degrees and got it all square, and I was like, that was awesome. The camera was off, but it's ready for that second cut if we're not too tall. So all this time thinking about 30-inch logs, that seems so tall, and it's only 27. I've got a big one down there, but that's another day. I've got a lot of bugs to work out of things. I didn't even get the scale mounted with a reference point yet, but I'm going to make a cant out of this. So I'm lining my blade up with the flat corner from the last cut, and that'll square.
You're getting another bite, it ain't going nowhere.
Okay. That's what I think. Doing the same thing by myself, I'd use the tractor to turn it because.
You're concerned it might come back on you? I think that engine had come out, it's on top of it.
I think it's on top of the log stops. Yeah.
That's what I said. Most of the time with Dad, there was two of us. Yeah. I think our dogs actually need to be higher. Yes.
Yeah, because the log stops are chewing up the corners of the can because of how they're hitting. After we struggled to roll that log over, I remembered how everyone does it. You just pull the cant away from the stops so you can roll it without it pressing against them. If you spend any time on the Woodland Mills Facebook page, they call it joining the club when you hit your log stops. Said, not today. The bunks have built-in stops on them, so that'll work now that we have a square cant. So, this is your first time running one of these. What'd you think of it?
I think it did an amazing job. It was actually pretty easy to run, fairly quick.
What do you think about the engineering and the design work on all the components and stuff we had to look at and adjust?
Everything seemed to be top notch. I was surprised by how sturdy everything was built, and like rollers for back rub blocks instead of solid.
I really like everything I've seen about it, the way it's built, the way it's put together. It's nothing about it felt flimsy. If there was one thing, I kind of wish that height adjustment dropped into notches, but then again, that could almost get annoying too. So the second cutting, before I cut with it again, there's a bunch of things I want to do. I'm going to go through and check level on the blade again, check and make sure it's tracking, check the bunks. Now that it's had a lot of weight on it and been run, make sure everything is still level. When we first got down to a cant, it was about a 1/4 inch wider on one end than the other. So something may be a little out of square or something, but overall pretty good.
And we started off with a log that really looked like junk. And even after we took a few pieces off, it's like, this is going to go in the burn pit, you know. But actually we ended up with some pretty decent looking lumber.
Everybody talks about, you know, are these worth it? Because this isn't a cheap investment to buy one of these. And so you got to make quite a bit of wood. But just right here out of that junk looking log, so we got the slab wood, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5.
Yeah.
2 by 12 by 12s. And if that was in pine at the lumber yard, you go to Lowe's, that's a $50 board.
Yeah.
At least. And out of oak, I'd say those are $75 a piece.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it in the least.
And so we probably got $600 out of lumber that was just junk to me. I mean, that looked rotten on the bottom. I would have made firewood out of it.
Didn't look like good firewood.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have this stack of lumber than have that log sitting in the yard. So, very happy with my choice of Woodland Mills. It's great to finally, after all this talk and all this planning, to turn a log into some boards.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I appreciate you guys taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.